It's a football Saturday in the SEC. Here is the starting lineup. The man with the golden voice, sports savant, Keefer. One of Birmingham's all-time most multi-talented, iconic broadcasters, Tony Curry. Four-time champion Paul Feinbaum show caller contributor, the legend. The illustrious First Lady of SEC football, Terry Quillian. Award-winning national sports handicapper from Las Vegas, Keefer. And now, let's talk football.
Let's get it on. Time for the starting lineup along with my good friend Kip Keefer. His name's on the top of this show. And of course, Kai Gregory. He's always been a good friend of the show. When the guy goes 9-0 last season, he is on fire when it comes to plays. Of course, all three of us on K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. He, of course, with Southern Precision Staffing. He joins us as one of our master handicappers. It is national championship time, man. We got two schools. We got Blue Bloods. We got 18 national championships between the two of them. We've got 14 Heisman Trophy winners between the two of them, 7 each. The thing that's amazing to me, though, 37 years since Notre Dame has tasted that national championship. Of course, Ohio State just did it 10 years ago. But what's this going to mean, Kipper, for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish so they can pull off the 9-point upset?
1988, Lou Holtz won the national championship. Lou's still in the story, Tony. He's talking trash with Ryan Day.
It was his third season at Notre Dame. I mean, it was early, too.
He said earlier he was just going to watch the game and be there in spirit. Then Ryan Day made some kind of derogatory comments. So Lou said, to hell with that. I'll be at the game. So you've got a 90-year-old Lou Holtz started up with Ryan Day. Very interesting. You know, these teams just played a year ago, Kai, and a lot of people don't remember that game. But it came down to Ohio State having to score on the very last play of the game on fourth down to win 17-14. And remember, it's got to be sticking in James Franklin's crawl. Not James Franklin, he's the Penn State coach. Marcus Freeman's crawl a little bit because Notre Dame only put 10 men on the field for the winning touchdown.
And Marcus Freeman being an Ohioan. I don't know if that's
Ohio
the right way to
State
say
guy.
it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's going to be there. But I don't think this is going to come down to a last-second field goal.
No,
I'd really be shocked.
You don't have high hopes for the Irish?
I don't. Knowing that Notre Dame is literally missing their 4 starters on the defensive line from the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's
I think
tough.
that's huge. I think the red zone efficiency for this game is going to be huge. Ohio State's top 5 in red zone efficiency, offensively and defensively. I really think Notre Dame's going to be searching for points, and it's going to come down to, okay, on that fourth down at the 15 on 4th and 3, are you going to kick the field goal and get that 3 points? That's not going to be enough against Ohio State. Or are you going to go for it? One of the reasons why I really like Ohio State in the first half over their 13.5, I like them -5. If you look at that, you go that way in the first half. If they cover that, they're covering huge for the game. They're going to go over their 27.5 total.
Call.
I just think Notre Dame's going to be searching for a way to find points in this game. And Caleb Downs from Alabama, you know, used to be Alabama, just for
beast.
you know, maybe just like rub it in just a little bit to the legend before he comes on, you know. So I think Caleb Downs shutting down Riley Leonard and the run will be huge because Notre Dame is undefeated this year when Leonard rushes for over 30 yards.
No doubt. And a very special season, you know, for Coach Ryan, too. Of course, obviously, the end of the season didn't end the way he wanted it to. And, of course, a lot of people calling for his head right after the Michigan loss. And here he is running off games, the hottest football team. I mean, this reminds me a lot of one of those teams in March Madness that just gets on an absolute tear. They have a great point guard that just goes on a tear, and he's averaging 20 a night. And next thing you know, they're beating teams by double digits. The crazy thing is, you mentioned Notre Dame, too, and the fact that it's been 1988. It was Lou Holtz's, of course, 3rd season with Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Do you remember who they beat that year? They knocked off Miami. Of
yes.
course, Miami had won like 37 games in a row or 36 games in a row. And they beat the West Virginia Mountaineers for the national championship.
Wow.
I don't know if you want to give them credit for that, but that should tell you how long ago it was. And people are like, West Virginia played for a national title? Believe it or not, they did back in 1988. So it's been a long time. It really is. So it's going to be super exciting. Can't wait to see what happens. We're going to have our plays, plus a lot of NFL action. Of course, we had our wild card weekend. We did fantastic on our wild cards. I did 2-1 on our best bets. I believe you're in 2-1 as well.
Yep.
The legend was on fire, so all kinds of great plays. So we're going to get after it, talk some National Football League coming up here in just a few minutes. Give me one thing, Kai, that you'd like to see if you want Notre Dame to win the national title on Monday night.
I can't because I don't. But I don't want Ohio State to win either.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling for the refs.
Okay, pulling for the refs.
We're calling it the Yankee Bowl on our radio shows, and I'd be curious to see how many people listening and watching today are really excited about tuning that in. I heard a guy this week call and say, "Why isn't the game? It's a college football game. Why isn't it on Saturday?" Well, that's because this other league has 2 games on Saturday. The NFL, 16 of the top 20 programs on ratings for the year, NFL broadcast, they are king.
Yeah, the National Football League is always going to be king here. And I told you right before we started the show, this is the first year we've had the 12-team playoff. I just don't feel it, man. I don't know if it's because Alabama's not in it. I don't know if it's because Auburn's not in it. We don't have a local tie-in.
No SEC.
It's 2 blue bloods that we really don't care about. I got my brother and my sister went to Ohio State, so I'm hearing it from them all over the place. And I'm going to hear it from them again on Tuesday morning if they win the national title. But for some reason, I just don't hear that. I was kind of hoping I'd feel like a Super Bowl buildup. And maybe this is a learning process, right?
Maybe.
You know, we're going to have a good 12, 13 days between the last game and, of course, the national championship game. You do a 2-week thing there between the Super Bowl, and I mean, every single day there's something going on with the National Football League for those 14 days. It is fresh. It is exciting. There is music. There's a halftime show. The National Football League's got it down. College football's got a lot to work with, but it looks like they've got the money to pull it off.
Well, maybe, but they need a little expertise, a little bit better planning, and a lot better marketing, in my opinion.
There's no doubt. Speaking of marketing, Southern Precision Staffing's Kai Gregory in the studio. We're going to find out who he likes the national championship game, and yes, we'll get into the National Football League. Dun, 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 dun. Coming up next here on the starting lineup.
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out. It's all happening here.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.
Oh, welcome to the Legend Cave. I'm in the cave with my main man, Keefer. Man, I tell you what, me and this dude right here, we are thick and thin. One of my great mentors. And Kip, I just got to ask you,
That's
man.
scary.
It is. Why you think I'm so crazy, bro? I just have to ask you, man. Somebody called Kellen DeBoer this week.
Yeah, on our show.
Yeah, DeBoer on the show. The great show every Saturday morning. Tune in, 8 o'clock every Saturday morning. Hear this man right here on Game Time with the First Lady. Great show on the Jocks, 94.5, down there with all them great folks. But have you ever seen a coach more boring than the one Alabama has right now?
Well, you know, Terry's, my partner on that show, is always kind of analyzing coaches, and our segment today on Marcus Freeman is outstanding. But she's been saying all year that Kamala Harris didn't have the word salad thing cornered because Kalen DeBoer does a lot of word salads and not wanting to answer questions. And when our caller Jason called last week and called him Kalen DeBoring, that was really kind of interesting. Kalen's got a lot to do here, and Legend comes on. He's just promoting our show, Kip and Terry Game Time. Legend is on at 9 o'clock every Saturday morning with his Alabama analysis, and he is the best Alabama analyst there is. Do not miss that segment every week. A real highlight of our program, this guy standing right here.
I appreciate that, Kip, but I want to offer my services to Coach DeBoer.
Okay.
To give you a little fire, DeBoer. To give you a little bump. Give you a little pump. And teach you how to dress. That's another thing. 'Cause you look like a slob, dude. You look like a slob. I don't mean to slap you around, but I'm upset that we didn't make the playoffs. I'm still upset. I don't care about no Yankee ball. I'm not even talking about it. I'm just upset. I'm about to lose my breath. I'm just upset, Kipper, that we're in this shape. But let's talk about something a little more cheerful. The Alabama basketball team who lost a bad game, another loss. Coach, it's probably worst game in his Alabama tenure. But you still got to like what you see in this team. One of the deepest teams in the nation. 3-1 in the SEC. Playing Kentucky today. I've been saying we're the new Kentucky. How far can this Alabama basketball team go?
They can go a long way. And maybe it was a good thing. In basketball, in football, it's disastrous to lose a game. Basketball, you can kind of reset a little bit when you find out that you better show up every single day in this league, Legend, because man, is it rough. And Ole Miss is just a real disciplined, hard-nosed defensive team. Maybe it's going to be a good thing for them to find out that they just can't roll the ball out there and win by 20. I think it's going to make this team tougher and more focused, and it's a good time to play Big Blue. I can't wait to watch this one.
Oh, Mark Pope coming to town. I'll tell you something, Pope! Get ready, because Alabama bounces back today with a big win in basketball. My best bets of the week. I'm with the Keeper. I just believe somehow Buffalo Bills going to win a Super Bowl in our lifetime. It's going to happen.
Josh Allen.
And I like Houston plus the 8.5. Kansas City ain't showed me nothing all year. And I'll go ahead and pick the national championship game, Ohio State. Who cares? Hey, we love you here on the starting lineup with my main man, Keefer, and the legend Cave. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like Kipper and the legend.
Sports insane.
You legend. And in the Coach's Corner today, we have Marcus Freeman, who of course is taking his team to the national championship this year. Marcus has obviously been a huge success in his 3 years at Notre Dame, compiling a track record of 33-9. Really amazing when you consider he was only 36 years old when he got that job. A lot of people have been noticing, and not just within the collegiate ranks, because right now the Chicago Bears have been talking about how, they're interested in their former player being interviewed for their head coaching job at the Chicago Bears. So isn't this something? Here you have a guy that was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame 4 years ago when he was 35. 36, he's made the head coach, and at 39, he's playing in the national championship and has at least one NFL team that wants to interview him for the head coaching job. And Marcus has done a lot of really interesting and, to me, laudable things at Notre Dame. One of them that a lot of people don't know about is that he has reinstituted what had been a long-standing tradition at Notre Dame, and that is having mass for the players before every game. What Marcus has said about this is, I can't think of a better time to have the players really on the edge of their seats, listening to what the priest has to say, listening to the message about Jesus Christ. What's really interesting is Marcus reinstituted this before he himself converted to Catholicism. Also, you want to know the coach that stopped that tradition at Notre Dame? The coach who stopped that long-standing tradition was none other than Brian Kelly. Oh yeah, in case you're wondering, that's the same Brian Kelly that said he was leaving Notre Dame for LSU because he wanted to coach somewhere that he would have the resources to compete for a national championship. How's that working out for you, Brian? Just wondering about that. Also, I love the way Marcus Freeman keeps the focus on the team versus himself. Marcus is mixed race. His dad's black, mom's Korean, and there have been a lot of questions about his race in coaching in the national championship game. Consistently, what Marcus Freeman has said is, hey, I don't think what's important is the color of a person's skin. What's important is what they are able to achieve. Wow, who does that sound like? Echoes of Dr. Martin Luther King. And yet, even though Marcus has been saying this consistently, especially during this playoff run, it was really interesting because when Molly McGrath with ESPN gets the opportunity to interview Marcus right after his victory at the Orange Bowl, what was her first question? Her first question was, how does it feel to be the first black coach playing in the national championship? Oh my goodness, Molly, really? That's the first question you had to ask him? And with his usual grace, Marcus responded by saying, hey, I think it's great if that helps other black and minority or white coaches to have more opportunities and want to coach these young men. But it's really not about me, it's about the team. And then he deflected to talking about the team. So because of you, Marcus Freeman, I am doing something really unusual. This Monday night, I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame to win that national championship game. Here's to you, Marcus Freeman.
Heck, he could do his own live spot here. Kai Gregory here with Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, right here in Hoover, Alabama, serving the United States of America. And I got to tell you something now. If you want your word and your handshake taken care of, you do it with Southern Precision Staffing for all your staffing needs, construction, anything else. It is Southern Precision Staffing. Our good friend Teresa Autry is going to be coming in the next couple of weeks. She has us now with Keller Williams. She moved over there and is doing, she's doing some Keller Williams, one of the best expert realty places. She does fantastic work. 294-4210. And on top of that, our good friend there from Ed's Pet World and our good friend from Sasquatch Toys and Comics. I want to thank Seth. He came in a couple of weeks ago, did fantastic work. And finally, the Woodhouse Day Spa. I talked to Stuart Rome just the other day. He is doing fantastic. He still wants to give you a rub down live on the show. ABC 3340 may have something to say about that, but it is.
We're concerned about our ratings.
Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. That would put us through the roof. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. It is the Woodhouse Day Spa.
I want to invite you to join us every Saturday and Sunday morning on Jocks 94.5 for our great radio programs that are sister shows to the starting lineup. We've got Kip and Terry Game Time on Saturday morning, a show that was brand new this year that has absolutely blown up, and we appreciate so much support and so many people participating every week. And then the staple show in the Birmingham sports community in its 8th season, we're wrapping that up. The Sunday morning giant, it is the morning after, where you have the first chance to react to everything on the field. This week, we talked about, hope you caught it this morning, the Yankee Bowl, and took a poll. How interested are people in the great Southeast Conference area in watching the Yankee Bowl? The response was not overwhelming, let me put it that way. Anyway, don't ever miss our programs. We love having you call and join us. And speaking of places to join, Case Keefer is chomping at the bit out in the desert to give you all of his intel and input on what's happening this weekend, one of the best betting weekends of the year. Take it away, Case.
Hey, it's Case Keefer, Assistant Sports Editor for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly, longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer, back here again for another edition of the Vegas Heaters. Where last week a little bit down, went 1-2. That still means the record on the year, I believe 36-31 in the Vegas Heaters, 65-53 if you put everything all together from football season I've given out on the show. So we're profitable on both counts, a lot higher if you include some of the futures from earlier last year. Hopefully we can cash some futures this year. I've already given out one on the NFL. We cashed some college ones too, that we can keep this moving in the right direction. But enough preamble. I'm trying to keep that minimized this week because we are so short on football games to talk about. Only 5 this weekend, and it's only going down from there. So I figured, why not just talk about all of them? I can't promise to give out a bet on every game, but let's go in order of kickoff, all the NFL Divisional games into the college football playoff national championship, and find some bets along the way. One where I won't have a play is where we are starting in Kansas City with the Chiefs hosting the Texans. The only thing I've bet on this game is the teaser that probably everyone in the world has, that he plays teasers, that knows about advantage teasers. Chiefs -2.5 to Detroit -2. Actually, I bet it was Kansas City -7.5. So Kansas City -1.5 to Detroit -2.5. Now you can't get that right now. Detroit's kind of been boosted up out of teaser range. If they came back in, I still think it's probably okay. I don't think that line is going down though. And I'm usually not one to say the old cliche that sometimes the best bet you can make is not make a bet on a game, but I actually think it might apply here, because even though I did throw the Chiefs in on a teaser, I expect them to win. I would not rush out to bet them at -8.5. I thought 7.5 was kind of a fair line, and then if you do the math, you take it through the 7 and the 3. I thought 1.5 was fair, but above 7.5 is a little too much for me. If you made me pick a side here, it would be Houston. These two teams played in this same venue a month ago, and Houston was a 3.5-point underdog and had a chance to win. They were down 1, I believe, when Tank Dell got carted off with an injury. They were never really the same after that, but still only lost by 8. Now 8.5. I think they found something offensively a little bit in the second half of that Chargers game. Their defense has been great the whole year, so 8.5 just a little bit too much for me. I would recommend sitting out of this game. If you have to get action, tease Kansas City down and find something to put them with. That brings us to the second half of that teaser here, Detroit and Washington, and similar story for the Saturday night game. I like the favorite if you can tease it down. If it's in teaser range, it no longer is, though. It's at 9.5, and on the spread, I actually even a lot more than Houston like Washington here, especially if we get back to double digits. Now, at the opening price, this hit 10.5. I went as fast as I could and got a little bit of plus 10.5 on Washington. I think double digits is just too much. I don't think all Detroit's defensive ills are cured just because they shut down the Vikings. I mean, that looks even less impressive in hindsight with how we saw Sam Darnold just kind of collapse in the first round of the playoffs against the Rams. I think it might have been more him and just something just went wrong mentally than it really was the Lions and this totally beaten up defense shutting him down in week 18. So I think double digits is too much. I think Washington is going to run out at some point. I'm hoping maybe they have a miracle win here and we can find a way to bet against them in the NFC Championship game next week. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Detroit wins outright. I think Washington has gotten a lot of luck to go their way this year, but I just look at this as a good matchup for them. Jaden Daniels, I feel like, is the perfect quarterback to attack Detroit, who has time and time again struggled against guys that are mobile, that can extend plays with their legs, and also his precision passing. This Detroit secondary is just a shell of what it was at the beginning of the year. Washington is going to increase variance the same way Detroit does by going for it on fourth downs. They're the best third and fourth down team in NFL history. Like I said, I'm worried that will regress and maybe they'll get blown out. There's just a lot of ways these games could go, but I like Washington if it gets back to double digits. If not, I think defensively they're not very good, obviously, but they don't give up big plays. That's a big thing. They were in the top 10 in the NFL not giving up big plays, so I think they're going to play back, and I think that there's some unders you can take advantage of. Therefore, maybe Jamison Williams under longest reception, 24.5 yards. The Lions have started using him in a lot of more different ways in their offense. I don't necessarily think he's just a deep threat anymore. And David Montgomery coming back, I do think he's actually healthy too, and this is going to be more of a split. I would take Jahmyr Gibbs under 84.5 rush yards as well. So there's two props on that game, both unders. Next, we are going to Sunday, where kind of the warm-up game for what looks like the biggest game of the year so far to kick things off in the NFC, where we have Philadelphia and the Rams. This is 1 point spread I'm going to give out. There's still some 5.5s out there. I'm going to take Philadelphia minus 5.5. I feel like this is depressed because the Eagles looked pretty rough last week, but I kind of saw it coming. I think there was some rust on Jalen Hurts. We've seen data that says, quarterback in his first game after a concussion isn't as strong. I think they're going to look better this week. I think the Rams, it's tough to turn around on 6 days' notice. I still don't fully trust their defense. It's a little young. I think the Eagles have too many weapons. Eagles minus 5.5. And finally, the big game, Buffalo, Baltimore. We have futures on Baltimore if you watched the show last week, and this is the one I'm worried about. I think if they get past this game, they beat the Chiefs or whoever it is next week. I think they win the Super Bowl, but I think this game is close to a coin flip. I have my number minus 1.5. It's minus 1.5 right now. I'm going to throw a little caution to the wind, though, and add one more future. Lamar Jackson to win the Super Bowl MVP. You can get plus 650 right now. That's kind of depressed because people are saying, Derrick Henry could win it. I don't really buy it. I think that Lamar Jackson has just been off the charts with how good he is this year. I think if they win the Super Bowl, it's going to take a superhuman effort for him. So add that MVP price. And finally, Monday night, I don't have a bet on the side or the total of this game, but I will be looking for unders on player props. Both these teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame, play at pretty slow paces. There's so much praise on the Ohio State offense right now. I think a lot of these guys are going to have super sky-high prop totals. Jeremiah Smith maybe under 80.5 rushing yards. Travion Henderson, I don't think he's going to break as many big plays, maybe under on rushing yards for him. So look under props in the national championship game. That was another edition of Vegas Heaters. Thanks for watching once again.
Before we get back into the national championship game coming up here in a couple days on Monday night, 7:30, Notre Dame and Ohio State, 18 nationals between the two of them. Let's talk a little National Football League. Of course, we got all kinds of great. I tell you what, since it is the national championship,
we got
to back it up a little bit. Let's do that pick first because I know everyone wants to hear what we're going to say about that game. Then we'll get into the National Football League. Kai,
I know you're loving Notre Dame.
I know you're loving Notre Dame. And it's like an election around here. It's the lesser of two evils is who I'm voting for. But who do you like on Monday night?
If wagering was legal in Alabama, I would say that I placed a wager on Ohio State minus 7 earlier in the week or last week, but now it's at 8. I really like Ohio State in the first half, and I like Ohio State. I love Ohio State over their team total of 13.5 in the first half. I'm not going to play the game. That's it as a whole game. That's the way I'm going to go in that game.
I think Notre Dame has overachieved to get here. I don't think their personnel is even close to Ohio State's. It is absolutely a miserable experience for me to pick the Buckeyes, but I have no choice here. Just barely over a touchdown. I think they're 3 touchdowns better than Notre Dame.
I don't know if this was some type of epiphany or something, but I went to church yesterday morning at OLV at 7:45 in the morning, and I got down, and it was like, God, if you're listening to me, send me a message, send me a sign about the game on Monday night. Let your old son win a little cash. And while I was genuflecting, I got this killer cramp, this Charlie horse. I was stuck on the floor. Father Kelly had to come up and help me off the floor. So I don't know if that's touchdown Jesus.
Brian
I don't know
Kelly?
what that. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to take. I got to take the Fighting Irish. I got to take touchdown Jesus.
Man.
I'm going to take them +8. I may even buy the 2 points and take it to 10. I feel better about that. But you just said it. They've been outperforming all year long. If you had told me Notre Dame's playing a national championship 3 months ago, I would have told you were crazy. Especially after they lost. Who did they lose to? Who did Notre Dame lose to?
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
The 6th place team in the Mid-Atlantic Conference.
Can you imagine a team that lost to Northern Illinois could win a national title for the first time in 37 years? I'm going to take those Fighting Irish plus the 8 or 8.5. Speaking of 8.5, the National Football League, 2 very interesting ball games with that lines right on that. The Lions -8.5 against the team that's really playing well. The Commanders,
my best bet from last week.
And another 8.5 is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Giving up 8.5 to the Houston Texans, who are playing very well. Kai, got any thoughts on those games or your best bets for the National Football League?
I don't see a lot of points in that Kansas City game, so if I'm going to do anything, I've got to take Houston plus those numbers. Detroit, I don't know what's going to happen in that game. Washington has been so up and down. Jaden Daniels has been playing phenomenal. I'll watch that game. I cannot wait to watch Baltimore and Buffalo, though. I know we haven't mentioned that, but Baltimore absolutely bullied Buffalo up and down the field, offensively and defensively, last game. Derrick Henry rushed for 199 yards on 10 yards per carry.
Wow.
I think that's going to happen again. I'm going to pull Baltimore in that one. And then how could you possibly bet against the Rams, who started out 1-4? They're 9-3 over their last 12 games, and then they won their first playoff game, and they're catching 6. If I could get that +7 against the Eagles, I would absolutely love that.
Tennessee Titan fans going, why couldn't Derrick Henry do that for us?
Well, they thought he was washed up.
He did do that for you, but you had Ryan Tannehill, not Lamar Jackson, the MVP of the league. Who you got in these games?
I can't wait to watch Buffalo and Baltimore. Kai's right. Baltimore just pushed them around when they played. But Buffalo, to me, has just been kind of that team that it's time for them to come through. And I think Allen is the most exceptional talent in the league. Lamar Jackson, of course, is 1-1A. So this is the ultimate matchup. But I just get the feeling in Buffalo that they're going to find a way to win this game, although it probably defies logic. I'm gonna take the other side and take the Bills. I couldn't agree more. I've been against the Rams for weeks. I'm finally on board. I was really impressed at how they just completely dominated the Vikings, who was a 14-win team this year. So I'm going to go that direction as well. And I don't know. I'm back and forth. I'm going to leave the Chiefs and Houston alone. Houston came back from the dead last week, but the Chargers just didn't show up. I kind of suspect the Chiefs will dispense of them and probably cover that number.
Getting the Eagles under a touchdown. They're 10-3 their last 13 when they give up 6 points or less. So I'm kind of leaning that way a little bit. The Rams game really doesn't do a whole lot for me besides the Eagles. Obviously, I like in that side. I do wish the Bills and the Ravens, I think it's a shame that those two teams are playing each other this early in the playoffs because that is the game. But if you're getting the Bills minus a point or even at a pick 'em, I can't help but take them straight out. I know, and of course, I'm an AFC Northern guy, so I've been watching Baltimore all season long, so I'm going to have to go ahead and side with the Buffalo Bills in that particular thing. And I'm going to have to go with those Lions, too. I think it may fall apart. I think maybe that rookie quarterback finally has a rookie game for the Commanders. The Lions, man, you want to talk about a team of destiny. They'd have been on fire this year. Get up to 8.5. I think they win by 10. All right, you enjoy the Monday night game. It is national championship time. And, of course, make sure you check us out again next Saturday right here, 10:30, 11 o'clock, as we break down more national championship game and NFL action right here on ABC 3340's The Starting Lineup.
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out. It's all happening here.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.